Hello there football fans and welcome to Goalside. Before we start, don't forget to participate in our lottery for a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is like this video, subscribe to our channel and write the hidden message you'll find later in the video in the comments. Good luck! Some of the most wondrous goals of all time arrived from seemingly impossible angles, and even the science had to break some of them. Today we take a look at some of the goals that defied physics, going against the laws of nature and logic with the ball finding its way in the net. Roberto Carlos versus France. If there's one left back that everyone in the world of football feared, his name is Roberto Carlos. The Brazilian was famous for his destructive left foot, as he could score from anywhere at any time, in any match against anyone. The sole fact that he was the primary free kick taker at both Real Madrid and Brazil, who had all sorts of world-class players, tells us a lot about his shooting. And yet, even with that reputation, he managed to outdo himself back in 1997. Brazil and France faced off in a friendly, as the two sides were considered to be the primary favourites for the World Cup that would come a year later. Carlos took the free kick from about 30 metres away, preparing for his trademark run. As he shot the ball, it curved to the far right of the goal, before it came back, past the shocked Fabian Barthez. Barthez himself barely even moved, and who could blame him? Even the ball boy to the far right of the goal got scared of the ball hitting him. But Carlos's curve was that big that the ball itself didn't even get near the ball boy. Carlos actually spoke about this historic goal, claiming, "I have no clue how I scored it. I used to practice my free kicks a lot. I would stay behind in training and hit them, and on this particular occasion, it came off well for me. I just hit it and it went in." As you'd expect, there were numerous TV shows with scientists trying to explain the goal, but the physics were beaten that day from the legendary Brazilian. Marco van Basten versus Soviet Union. It's the biggest stage in Europe with some of the best players in the world. It's the European Championship final in 1988. The Dutch were looking for their first ever international trophy after their heartbreaks in the 1970s and Johan Cruyff's magic that ended up trophyless. This time around, Marco van Basten was the hero that everyone was looking for. The incredible three-time Ballon d'Or winner had a talent like no other. Injuries forced his early retirement, making him the biggest what-if in the world of football, alongside Brazilian Ronaldo. However, in the summer of 1988, there weren't what-ifs, there was just an artist painting his picture. The Dutch met the Soviet Union in the final, and the pressure was rising. A nation known for their failure in the finals looked at their leader, Marco van Basten, to save them from the curse. And so he did. After Ruud Gullit scored to take the lead, van Basten caught an overhit cross with his right foot. With the ambition and audacity that shouldn't even be allowed, he struck the volley from a tight angle, placing it inch perfect between the defenders and a goalkeeper. That goal is still regarded as one of the best ever, especially with the stage being so big and the importance of the match itself. Talking about the goal, even Van Basten himself was blown away. "I can tell a lot of stories, but it was just a fantastic feeling. I did not really understand what I did. You can also see that in my reaction. I'm asking, what's happening?" This was no coincidence. You could make a pretty long Van Basten highlight reel just from his volleys in his short career, and yet this one against the Soviets definitely takes the cake. Zlatan Ibrahimovic against England. This is one for the ages. Everyone knows who Zlatan Ibrahimovic is, an ultra-talented, hard-working and above all, courageous player, willing to do something that the others wouldn't even think of. Even with that in mind, this was just too much. England and Sweden were playing a friendly that day, with Zlatan intent on showing the Englishmen what they're missing out on without him in the Premier League. However, it didn't look good when England took the 2-1 lead, and it looked like the Swedes were too weak to cope with the stronger opponent. But then, Zlatan took the team on his back. With just 12 minutes to go, Ibrahimovic had scored his country's only goal as they were down 2-1. It was actually the opening night of Sweden's new national stadium. This made the occasion that much bigger, and Zlatan lives for big occasions. So with just 12 minutes to go, Zlatan scored 2 more goals, completing his hat-trick and making it 3-2 for his home nation, and yet, he wasn't done. England pressured up high, hoping to catch the Swedes off guard and end it in a draw. However, a long ball from the Swedish defence prompted Joe Hart to run far away from his goal in order to save the team from conceding another. He did so, but after heading the ball, it was heading directly towards Ibrahimovic, who had his back turned to the goal. And then, without even letting the ball fall on the ground, Ibra managed a bicycle kick that nobody, and no, nobody, saw coming. It landed perfectly into the net as Ibrahimovic celebrated his 4th goal of the match, with the world in wonder as to what they've just witnessed. Zlatan himself acted almost like it was nothing. I saw him come out and I had to decide whether I should go in a duel or wait for him to head it out. When he headed it, I had it in my mind to try to score. I hit it in mid-air, and when I landed, saw Shawcross running back to try and clear, but it bounced over him. It was a good try, that's all. When it comes off, it looks fantastic, but for me, I like the first goal more because it was history, the first in the new arena. This performance is one of the greatest international individual performances ever, and players talking after this match just confirmed it. England's Leon Osman was stunned. The imagination, it didn't even enter my mind that he might go for it, and the next thing I knew it was in the back of the goal. At the highest level, the top players stand up and could turn a match like that. It was incredible to watch at such close quarters. I didn't quite realise the standard of him. I'd watched him play a few times, but to be out there on the field and see how quickly his brain worked, and just how good he was fascinating. And then it was capped off by that wonder goal. Ronaldinho versus Chelsea. Barcelona and Chelsea had some epic battles in the mid-2000s, with Jose Mourinho and Frank Rijkaard competing with their teams in the Champions League. Chelsea's destructive football clashed with Barcelona's artistry, led by the artist himself, Ronaldinho. The Brazilian changed Barcelona's future like no other, transforming them from a crisis-ridden club to the European champions in 2006. Barca actually got past Chelsea in a historic matchup in the 2005-06 season, as the Catalans got their revenge for one of the most painful losses in the club's history the year prior. It was the 2004-05 season, with Jose Mourinho proclaiming himself the special one as Chelsea met Blaugrana in the quarter-finals. Barca won the first match at Camp Nou 1-0, however a return at Stamford Bridge was history, and what a match it was. Gudjohnsen, who would later join Barcelona, Frank Lampard and Damien Duff all scored in the first half, making it 3-0 for Chelsea in a shocking opener, with Jose Mourinho celebrating on the bench. But Barca weren't going to let go so easily. Ronaldinho took the penalty, making it 3-1, and before the half ended we got to see a bit more of the Brazilian's magic. At the edge of the box, he was standing with the ball, practically dancing in front of it. The defenders closed down space, or so they thought they did, but Ronaldinho struck the ball so perfectly that Petr Cech, maybe the best goalkeeper in the world at the time, didn't even try to save it. A crazy turn of events saw Chelsea score the fourth goal and go through, but it was the night to remember mainly for Ronaldinho's magic. He thanked his futsal past for the goal years later. There was a lot of futsal in that goal. It was just a solution I found at that very moment. I didn't plan it. Futsal is beautiful, not as much as it used to be, like in the days when keepers couldn't also be strikers, but it is still beautiful. Papiss Cisse against Chelsea. Once again, Chelsea are the victims of an evergreen, but what a goal it was from Papiss Cisse. Newcastle around those years were a particularly fun team to watch. Alan Pardew was doing wonders with the Magpies as they approached the Champions League spots, and they nearly got into the top 4 by the end of the season. However, the real story of the season were their strikers, Demba Ba and Papiss Cisse. The duo scored 28 goals together that season, but one of those stands out as almost a miracle. With a 1-0 lead going into injury time, Papiss Cisse struck the ball from the left side with the outside of his right foot. The ball dropped perfectly above Petr Cech, who couldn't do anything about it. It was a one-season wonder, but Cisse definitely made his mark on the Premier League with this strike.